travel all the way from Brazil over to the European region and just go out in a best of 1 and a best of 3 without really giving it everything they've got. So going into their map pick of Mirage, we are going to see some util to start off from Exit, and for the Renegades side, we are going to see 3 players over towards the B site, but maybe just a simple Exi coming out for the T's.
Yeah, it sure is looking likely right now, though. SHZ to find one on the P250, looking to find more, as well as Seiko drops. And this is now the ideal opportunity to open things up here for MIBR. Because right now, aliStair already being smoked off in towards Connector. And SHZ only looking for more on that P250.
Even Hat,
he's dominating this round.
Yeah. Oh, they're getting away with nothing, are they? It all just really comes down to that start, doesn't it? A couple of picks coming through for the P250 out towards that ramp position. Renegades just forced in a bit of a retake heavy setup. And for MIBR, it's a good way to respond. Just being able to bounce back pretty much straight away into the pistol and just take it so cleanly. Not even offering up a kill to Renegades.
Yeah, and it is just insane to have a dominant pistol round like that. Both teams have split their pistols before on the previous map on Vertigo. Of course, the Made in Brazil pistol might have been a little bit more effective, to be honest, as well, in comparison to what we've seen from Renegades. Of course, only winning 2 rounds in comparison to 3 from MIBR earlier on. Right now, anything is doable with the Scouts and a couple of Eagles in that mix as well. So much damage, though. Up against Insier. One way to throw a smoke as well. Connector's going to be smoked off anyways, as the T's just find more and more kills.
Yeah, this round's falling apart, unfortunately, not being able to get that bottom con smoke, and for MIBR, they are kind of running in towards a B stack, but with a 5-on-3 advantage, they should just be able to have the men power behind them to be able to just overwhelm this round. Malta does get away with 1 kill, so that might start forcing the T's into A now.
And that's the next big chance for them right now. However, of course, Cello, for one part, yes, he could just be hanging around that position. He could be going down further into CT. aliStair finding 1 through the connector. Certainly keeping his team in the mix. The question is, how can Malta deal with this one? Can he find a kill? Can he deny the bomb putt? No, he can't. As still, this retake is doable for Renegades, especially with the damage dealt. Malta set his team up perfectly, all down to Exit, and he's Mac 10. They line up for him, though. It is going to be Seiko 8 HP, just about. And Renegades, sure, they lose pistol, but they're straight back in. And let's be honest, this might be even better than winning pistol.
Yeah, you're damn right about that. They do give up a bomb plant, so it's an extra little cash injection for MIBR, but they'll probably buy it down. You still don't have a lot of money to work with. Renegades, it all really comes to Ali. Again, just being able to get the recovery. MIBR have got a 5-on-3 advantage and an open A bomb site. They get the info that there might be a little bit of a lean out towards B. They open up A, but then the scout shot comes in from that short position, and then from there, just everything fell apart. MIBR, another one of those rounds where they've got a big advantage, but just throw it away.
The big thing is still, of course, for Renegades, just not overreach right now. Don't lose too many players too easily right now. Hat, especially him losing his battle to the CZ as he tried to get away, but just not in time. And this could end up going to a further back and forth that brings a disadvantage for the CTs. aliStair not quite being able to find that early damage with the op. I think twice to try and regain control here, especially as all 4 players are going to be coming in via market. Not the biggest fan here, especially as they have the full focus of MIBR right in this area of the map. And time is already far gone. aliStair, it's do or die now. And they seem to be doing. Can they succeed though as Exit? He denies the defuse here. And it's all going to be down to aliStair, who probably won't even be able to make it out alive. And Exit even found that kill before the end of time. Would have gone up with the bomb anyways, but that's one way to be straight back in. And it is anybody's game right now as the back and forth continues.
Yeah, it really could be. You have a look at that round, and for Renegades, just when you win the anti-force, you get aliStair on an AWP as quickly as you can, but they just get overwhelmed at the B side. ali's forced back quite passive in from market, but without a backstab in the apartments or anyone in for that short position, as soon as you slow it down, it just allows the T's to just play the clock. And Yell just being able to punish straight away out from that window position, and for MIBR, this could be the response now.
Thing right now as well. I mean, sure, they found that one kill onto aliStair already, but let's just wait and see what happens. Sure, the Deagles yet again could just bring things back, but at the same time, MIBR seem to be a little bit more composed in their own game. I'd expect for them to at least have a stronger round at this time out. Right now, Smoke's already following out towards the A-bomb site. Guess what? One player here ready and waiting in Malta. And of course, Zico trying to make his way around that smoke. But right now, as Malta falls, it will get only more difficult for Zico here. Has to fall back, gets caught by Yell through the smoke. And that's it. I mean, this round is done. And MIBR take the 3-1 lead. And it might make it 4 or even 5-1 before Renegades can actually properly respond to this, because of course their money is gone.
Well, it seems to be another sort of common theme for MIBR. They do get off to some very good starts so far in IEM Cologne. We saw it in the best of 1. We saw it in the first map of Vertigo where they went up 8-2. It all just comes to being able to continue that control and momentum as the map progresses on. Renegades, though, the early portions seemed like they'd come back in with a real fighting chance to put pressure on early when they win round 2, but not being able to consistently follow up after that means that really money's just getting reset over and over again. A situation now where for the City side it's going to have to be a light eco. You've got a couple of saved in players of ins and hats, but for MIBR this should be a pretty easy 4 for them now.
Yeah, and that's the thing as well. I mean, for Renegades, just keep what you've got. Don't buy any further. Sure, aliStair would be able to buy down, but of course he wants to be on a stronger weapon as soon as he can, even though, of course, unless he gets a kill with his USP in this round, then the AWP is going to be out of contention from his side at least. aliStair trying his best to try and find that kill, but it is going to be Yell to shut him down. Sure, damage dealt. Not enough at the end.
Ooh, hang on a minute.
Oh, Malta fights too! And I believed for a second, but it's all down to hats.
1v3. You might be able to get away with one more kill, depending on how wide they swing, depending on how out in the open some of these duels are being taken. Waiting for a play to come through to him. Exit. Going to be able to finish off the job, and look for a light eco with not much upgrades at all, other than ins and hats just saving what they had from the previous. They got away with a couple of kills, and it was actually the USP out of anything.
Yeah, so aliStair, guess what? Glass Cannon AWP coming out from his side. I'm not sure if I'm the biggest fan, but if he can make it work anywhere near like he did at the end of Vertigo, then I mean, I'm all for it. If he can somehow find an aggressive CP side AWP style to work for him. Right now, moving towards the A-bomb site will be a little bit more laid back, but of course, without armor, you don't want to go for any crazy battles.
Now, SH there just trying to make a bit of a play out towards that B side, trying to see if he can get a bit of a lucky spam onto the van position. Hat's only just taking a little bit of that burn damage from the molly. Oh, yeah, how has he managed this?
Oh, and he still gets caught just about in time by Zico before getting too dangerous for the rest of Renegades. All about timing here for aliStair as well. Does spot him out, but Cello just legged. Down to 17. Does then drop back all the way towards Underground. He could be ineffective. MIBR into a perfect position for this. However, we look at the radar and we see, of course, Renegades already have 2 players over towards the B-bomb site. They have the upper hand, fielding 2 more players for the moment. Entry here, Insto can react to it, and that's all what it's about. Just waste time, find another kill, and you can isolate the battles into separate 1v1s. And Zico's there to support as well. Great way to be back and to stop MIBR from further escalating things.
Renegades in a bit of a position now where you can see a bit of a way back in, especially with that rifle. MIBR just getting picked apart, unfortunately, in that one. And it looked like they had the right setup, just being able to walk Yell out of that palace position, but must have just been caught by a Sticko. MIBR, how do they respond back to that? Not really giving too many chances up to the Renegades. aliStair going very aggressive. The enemy Pete does miss that first chance. Looking for a little bit more now.
And that's why aliStair right now then falling back towards short, and Seiko might just have a gap in that smoke. This T's already looking for legs though. Spotting through. aliStair full blind. Still finds that kill. And that's the advantage that, yet again, of course, you are looking for at the start of a round. Cello trying to chime things back, but Malta somehow stays alive at 22 in the battle against the op.
Oh, HE onto Malta. That's a bit of a way back in. The wall bang comes through on the Sicko. Cello, though, how can he follow up? aliStair thinking about peeking through from short, just misses his timing, allows the follow-up to get a tag back in, and Sicko at least gets away with the M4 kill, drops that bomb, follows up with a double, looking back into connector, but that's where Hats comes in as support. Bolt is now in a 1v3.
Yeah, and this working out really nicely. Yes, of course, they did lose players. That's tough for Renegades, especially if their CT side hasn't really built up just yet. But keeping 3 players alive is the exact thing we want, because, of course, that way, yet again, as we say it time and time again, makes you a net profit and then keeps you going on that CT side as well. Sure, you will have to reinvest. That might be tough in the long run as well if that continues as it does. But, of course, door is open as MIBR are looking down the end of a barrel. Of course, yes, they're actually buying into this one. I'm not sure if Bolt's coordinated that with the rest of the side, because he's going to be disconnected from the rest of the economy.
Taking a bit more of an aggressive stance in from mid from Renegades. A walk out towards this ramp position. The bomb has been left back in T-spawn, so if they do find an entry, or at least some sort of early advantage like Bolts does out towards CT, they are going to have to slow the round down.
But at least Renegade's already readapting to this. There was only one player out towards the A bomb site, so yeah, sure, it works out with that bot up AK for Balls. Bigger question is just what can the rest of the team do, and what happens once he falls, or can he just stay alive as things continue? The build-up seems to be towards the A bomb sites, and Renegades right now, they just don't have the information about that just yet.
Yeah, aliStair with the AWP needs to be looking back up towards that palace position. Very deep on the A site. This could allow MIBR to just get a bomb down.
Oh, the timing here for the Molotov as well. Just a fraction of a second too late. Still Bolts finding another headshot. aliStair actually burning him alive. That's the AK out of contention for the moment. Can they recover? Do they even need to recover? As they have an M4 in hand, and the Deagle is strong enough. As Internet trying to get back in, dealing damage, but of course time is against them. They do have the time for the moment. Big thanks goes to the defuse kits that they already have at their disposal. Surprised that not more pre-fires come through those boxes, as they know exactly where exit is at. Oh, Hat perfectly done, and can now smoke out the bomb. Yeah, no chance of stopping this surely now for Yell as he pushes around, and 2 players staying there for Renegades. But of course, a buy coming for MIBR, and thanks to 2 kills on a bomb plant, Bolt is going to be fine and still buying with the team.
Yeah, very happy with the coordination there for Renegades in that retake. 2v3, they're up against quite a lot. Maybe not so much in terms of weaponry, but in terms of stalling. We saw some really well-timed flashes out for MIBR just to try and make it a little bit more uncomfortable for Hats and Ins to work together. But really, they're able to get that retake on. They work together beautifully, and then as soon as they see that bomb's down for default, get a smoke on it and just stick it instantly.
Oh, and aliStair trying to go a little bit too aggressive. Bolts to shut him down with the headshot. The idea was right, it was just the timing that was slightly off as he was a little bit too late. Malta dropping to, as I said as well, as now a bomb's going to get planted, and the CTs might as well just try and go and save. Big question is, can they get to that second op to keep that going as well? Especially with Bolt being all the way back towards top mid. He's pretty much back to T-spawn at this stage.
A lot of respect been given up there by the T side, where they realized to themselves, okay, we'll give them the opportunity of picking the double AWP setup back up. Our economy isn't perfect, so we don't really need to go hunting. Instead, we'll just make sure we're converting the round. We'll take the lead back. But at least when you think about the early stages of Mirage, it's been close, it's been quite competitive. Money is in a bit of a state here for the city side, so Inns might have to drop over a FAMAS to aliStair, or at least give that AWP over and give it to Sicko. Might have to see a little bit of movement with the weapons. Malta might even have to buy himself, but there's definitely a buy here.
Yeah, sure there is, because, I mean, otherwise, you're not going to have any lost bonus to work with too much anyways, so you just need to go for this, especially to be around those ops and the AK as well. Chances are here, but one thing that Renegades need right now is just to find an entry, because those have basically all gone the way of Made in Brazil right now. The way it's been going, always just bolts, trying to be out aggressive, trying to find a headshot, and he's done so time and time and time again. That's just one thing that Renegades right now need to get on top of. Especially try to maybe not lose aliStair as early as last round, as he was such a fundamental part in winning that first map.
The opening 5-on-4s have been everything, and well, there it is again. Sicko getting a little bit antsy up towards the top of the apartments, and instead just faces into an AWP duel. Nade goes back. I think they're trying to just get that AWP away, try and just at least fire it back to the end of the apartment so then Hats can't recover it.
Might be a plan, but yet again, Bolts finds the next headshot onto Malta. Kind of unnecessary to kind of go for that push as well. I mean, both kills in favor of MIBR have been due to aggression being caught by them from Renegades. It's just one thing that, of course, you can do for a little while, but as we are moving towards halftime, I hope that they at least adjust to that in the next 3 or 4 rounds still to come, depending on, of course, when their next buy is actually going to be aliStair. His aggression works out, though, similar to his aggression earlier on Vertigo. However, he's in trouble now, as the push should be coming in. The flash doesn't really affect him too much. Be able to re-peek, find both, that's the bottom drop, and all down to SHZ, who does find aliStair after all. But what a way to save it here for Inns.
Mate! aliStair again! Oh. You've got to keep your eyes peeled on this one. Simple as that. It is the aliStair show with the AWP, and you got to give credit to Inns as well. He was the one to chip in there with the FAMAS, make sure that that trade comes out, make sure that that clutch gets won. But really, he's only up to 9 kills, but you can see the impact he's finding.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what we were on about as well. If he could just find his own game, then all of a sudden Renegades are straight back in. And right, thanks to him as well. Sure, the rest of the team is there and find their individual kills, but it's just 3 kills like that that can change the game so much further. And we're just sticking in this back and forth, really.
Yeah, Sicko is still somewhat aggressive in towards Connector. Hasn't really been forced back by any util or at least sound cues for now. Keeping his eyes and attention over towards window in case a little bit of a boost up comes through. MIBR quite slow and passive into the default, even half blinded. aliStair wins the opening fight to Bolts.
Yeah, and this is so important for him because we've talked about this a couple of times now as well, and just recently that Bolts has been so strong in those entries for MIBR. Sure, he's not the only one that can hit those headshots. Certainly been strong last couple of rounds. However, smoke's now come down. Top connector control is theirs, but of course the main objective is to try and get towards short in the B bomb site, and right now Inns. His and Hats' defense at this bomb site are going to be vital here as exit. Immediate headshots. Might be a premature decision as Renegades lose their players quickly. And they also just try and retake bit by bit and player by player rather than waiting and working as a unit in this one.
That's a big kill back, and that really sets it up. SHZ is so damn low, so it's going to have to come to Cello. Malta thinking about a big backstab, but even out towards his short position, he's going to have to deal with the AWP up close and personal. Cello doesn't miss the shot at all. aliStair does find one. Needs to try and follow up now in the 1 versus 1 clutch. Forced him out towards the open, out towards that left-hand side. He's scoped in, trying to get baited by the T side. All just comes down to time wasting. And AWP does connect the shot, and aliStair gets onto the bomb with the kid. A 4K clutch to come through, and another huge round for aliStair. aliStair.
I mean, back to back from him as well, and the way that he baits that out, already working his way towards that defuse kit, finds that kill, and immediately just works out for him 2 rounds in a row as well. He's the big decisive factor there. And oh, the way that this game has gone thus far. It was a really, really good run from Renegades earlier to get 3 rounds, and then, I mean, MIBR was straight back in, finding 1. But since then, it's now been another 2 rounds for Renegades. And of course, Made in Brazil take a timeout here.
And in many situations in that 2v3 retake where ali's close towards market and Malta's still out on the A side, a lot of teams are probably just saved, but because aliStair's playing with so much confidence and he's finding so much success with the orb, even in situations where you're down by 1, you almost have the feeling of, yeah, let's go for this because we're going to win this.
And for one part, yes, it has been a very, very aggressive CT side. I mean, that worked out for LDLC earlier on the day today as well. But of course, I'd still say that that game was up against a different caliber in Bad News Bears. I'd certainly rank Made in Brazil higher than them. The world ranking might disagree with me on that point. All of our flashbangs now to come out yet again. Hat's in trouble and he's being hunted down straight away with players already being out yelled to find that kill. And Ints now needs to hang on, but of course there's players all around him. Drops the bomb and this just buys time for him and the rest of the team.
Another situation in which it comes down to aliStair and Malta to try and get the heavy lift in. AWP just trying to get a couple of pop shots through that smoke, but how much did he find of this? Does at least tag up SHZ and pushes forward off the smoke. Can't find that flick over to the right-hand side, and Malta's got to save from here.
Yeah, but at the same time, what is he saving? It's just an MP9. It's like that's going to make a massive difference going into the next round. And that just kind of has me scared because, I mean, yeah, Renegades had the advantage going into that round and still it worked out for Made in Brazil, finding entries and then just working with that panic. And yet again, Renegades just seeming to not really work together at all times, just kind of pushing in 1 by 1. And that seems to be a little bit more of their problem. They are a little bit disconnected from each other, but at least it is pretty much staying neck and neck. I mean, we're 6 sets right now, so I mean, how close do you want to be?
Well, this is double eco status, so we'll have to see a force invest here for Renegades. 1900 loss bonus, no money in the reserve. MIBR, this could be the swing rounds, honestly. Tactical timeout being used, and we saw a lot of them. I think both teams used all of their tacticals, didn't they, out in the first map? Renegades used, therefore, slightly earlier in regulation, and MIBR used their last tactical when we went to overtime. Just taking a moment here, because they realize that they've got a good foothold in the situation on CT, but now they're in a round where they're forced to buy down completely. What's the best chance they have, setup-wise, to be able to win a round like this?
Well, it's a good question. It's the question that Renegades are probably going to be the best ones to answer because they know their best strengths when it comes down to it. Yes, of course, Deagle's going to be in the mix. Malta himself, I mean, grab the smoke and also then grab some pistols for the rest of the team, and that's what it's all about as well. Yes, sure, it would have been nice for him to have even more utility, but at the same time, it's just nice for him to give out one of the pistols. The rest can buy themselves, and aliStair needs that money because, of course, he wants to build straight back up to having that off as soon as the rest of the team is able to buy again.
A little bit cheeky with the util. We saw Hats just throwing a deep app smoke to try and indicate that maybe there's a bit of an aggressive move going on, but SHZ just pushes forward of it. But there is a stack up at the A site. MIBR have got to try and gather this information and not run into the heavy presence.
Oh, and Zico. Difficult for him, but actually makes out with a lot more HP than I would have expected. Still, of course, his position going to be known and taken out straight away by Yelp. More players all around, that's the big problem. They know where one player is at, they can then isolate for the next, and even here, all down to Inns over towards the B bomb site, and guess what? The A bomb site is all set and ready, and there's no real need for them to go out hunting. Of course, you always run that risk of then losing a weapon to a Deagle, and you might as well just let him hang on to that one.
Inns just... in a situation where the force buy doesn't quite work out, they probably gave it the best chance they have by having that stack out on A, but just some really good fights being won out from bolts and just Connector just opening up the bomb site in total. Malta's sort of attention drawn between back in the site at stairs and out towards the ramp position and just gets combined in on back in the lead. And this is, I don't want to say a game of stalemate and a game of back and forth, because it's not like the rounds have been individual and that we have just gone reset after reset after reset, but in terms of who's got the lead, it's constantly changing.
Yeah, and I mean, usually you see these sort of back and forth situations come out on top with the T-side teams, because the CTs, it's always more difficult for them to actually build up any of the money to keep on going, and that's the thing right now. Yes, MIBR, they have 7 right now. Renegades ideally just hold things level once more, but of course, still disconnected with that. Cannot buy until that next round actually comes around, and at that stage then, MIBR will have the lead going towards halftime. This, of course, being their own map pick. So we'll have to see if they can then close things out. They've had difficulties closing games today.
MIBR just running out of slow default, making sure that they just don't overface completely. Had a bit of a duel out there towards CT, but so far, no one's really come out of that. In's just hoping for a bit of a wider angle up towards top mid, so it's a tag. And Renegade's just hoping for any damage in a round like this.
And of course, always a chance to get a cheeky kill or two. But right now, MIBR, they're weary of this situation as well, that of course there could be a pistol behind every single corner, so we have to be just so much more clinical than in a usual round. Sticking to weapons as well, just the utility not being as important. It's making sure that they have their weapons out, being able to react to any of these CTs coming their way.
Now, out to the A side, there is another one of these situations where there's a lot of A players, but decent smoke's coming down. Malta just get away with 1 kill with the USP. Sticko trying to make sure that he pushes through that smoke, leaves Hats now. That's the last one left to try and see if he can find anything in this 1 versus 4. MIBR doing a very good job up against the Ecos, not making it expensive for themselves, not making it look very dicey, instead taking the rounds pretty convincingly.
Yeah, and this brings them to 8 rounds as already discussed for Renegades though. Big thing for them still to come is that next buy round, and of course that's going to be coming up thanks to loss bonus here. aliStair will be back on the op, so if you're a Renegades fan right now, which I'm guessing that half of Australia is watching right now, at least if you follow CS from Australia, you might just be up early in the morning to say, okay, well, how is this one going to go?
Yeah, you can imagine just with the time zones, right, that there's going to be some early wakers. I think it's about 7 o'clock in the morning or so. We're getting close to there in Sydney. And Sao Paulo's probably in the mid-afternoon to early evening. Yeah, a lot of eyes on this game. Renegades, though, getting that AWP back in the hands of aliStair, like you mentioned. MIBR having a little bit more of a lean this time raid towards an early apartments default. Even just those nades coming in towards Connector, not doing any damage onto Ali.
Yeah, and I like the fact as well that MIBR just kind of fall back from it, say, okay, well, it's not really worth to try and go for peeking towards mid, because we know if smokes are coming out, if flashbangs are following in, then surely the AWP is back in towards the Connector, and it is just so difficult to spot that out. Yes, you can pre-fire it, but there's so many different levels that you can actually play in towards Connector on how aggressive do you want to go, how far back do you want to go. You have so many chances there. Of course, it's all about B, and it's worked out so many times for the T's here as well for MIBR. And In's holding on this time, Hat there as well. And finally, the B hold is here for Renegades. It's all going to be down to Cello. The AWP out. The 1-4, no chance here. We go to an 8-7 halftime, as close as this can be. So stick with us here on the C stream. Yeah, Yeah, and it's been insane the way that this has gone. 1xBet has now turned it the way of Renegades as well. I mean, the game is just too close to call right now here on Mirage. The big question, of course, being Made in Brazil now on the CT side usually play a stronger CT side themselves. How can Renegades escalate this on the T side?
I've got to come down to the read to start things off. MIBR have got a pretty heavy lean out towards this B site out of all things. So for SXZ, it's going to rely on him on A.
And of course, right now, straight into the pistol. It was strong earlier from MIBR already. And right now, at least, Malta holding on to this, finding one on the P250 and going quite aggressive on this, the T side R as well for Renegades. Have found a decent amount of control, and where is Int currently at as well? All the way towards B. Will be coming in from behind from short. He does have a P250, so he could be the most danger for those connector players. Alright, just pulling attention. That buys a little bit of more time for the site players as well.
Oh!
P250s all hitting shots, and there you go! aliStair and Malta both hitting their shots, and Bolt's down to 17. Drops as well, and the teams just continue splitting pistols.
Jeez, alrighty then. Them P250s, them Rainbow setups working out beautifully for the Renegade side, and well, it all just came down to that even sort of post-plant, and then eventually some of those jewels that got taken. I wonder sort of what buy are we going to see MIBR going with? It should pretty much be a force-up, or are they going to go for just the eco, go for the save attempt instead? Just a single flashbang. I think this is the first time that we've seen this today. We've seen forces every single time. We might have had like the odd one T-side round where they didn't get a bomb plant and lost it, but other than that, we've always seen forces, and well, at least they do damage. Yeah.
I mean, straight away, just with the USGs, sure, it might not be the round, but the rifle straight into their hands, and let's see what Bolt can actually do with this. Fortunately, there's helmet for the T's to work with, otherwise a Galil would be so much more dangerous. Of course, no armor, nothing invested whatsoever. And still, this round, only 35 seconds in, but nothing. Well, not even too much air between these two teams. It just continues being so neck and neck. It's just been a great day for CS. The first day, of course, with all teams being back on LAN. At least the ping is gone. And it's just been great.
Oh, this sneak out. How far forward is Malta going to go? Because he might get some misinformation to say, actually, the A site's kind of undefended, when in reality, there is a lot of CTs they don't know about.
Still Renegades, slowly but surely coming out on top. Bolt's almost finding another onto hat. I think Cello, his position already being well expected here. Sure, it's not a bomb plant, but at least still they're able to make it all happen, find the round, keep 3 players alive, keep the AKs going, and drop out some of those Galils. So everything fine for the Australian side, of course. As they pick up pistol, they pick up the follow-up, looking to make it 10 right here.
Yeah, and this is probably where pressure starts mounting a little bit for MIBR, knowing that this is their map pick. They're down a map in the series already. This opening rifle round in the second half can mean a hell of a lot. And Malta's still running a Mac 10 going into it, but everyone's got ahead Kevlar of the upgrades. A little bit of an aggressive move coming through from the CTs out towards sort of that early palace position. Renegades, though, grouped up side of the apartments.
I'm not sure that this is the right call, especially as Made in Brazil, of course. They're surely going to have a little bit more of a focus over towards the B-bomb site, as that was the site that worked out so easily for them earlier. Just time and time again moving on before then finally Renegades were able to bring that B-hold back to a point where they can actually hold on further. But right now, smokes, of course, the fakes, but usually you see those coming from the A site, from the short player as well, so you're well aware of the fact that there is players in front of the B-bomb site still. Bolt almost being baited back in towards Kitchen. Unfortunately, he isn't actually.
Oh, they don't check it!
Oh, exit! A double from him, and right now, the rest of the side is strong as well. All going to come down to balls towards the bomb site for the moment. Bomb being collected, Yell in behind already. And he has spotted out Int, can give that information to the rest of his team, as Int's now dropped down to just 15 HP. All comes down though. Can Renegades hit headshots? And right now it's just not looking likely as Yell coming in from behind. His position now known as Shello finds another. MIBR looking to tie things up. And they do as well. Plenty of time to get that defuse in.
That's a good retake. Really, really slow on it. Don't really make it very chaotic. Just wait for the fights to come to you. And for Renegades, although it's a 3v3 and it looks even, you look at those HP bars and you've got a couple of players just so low in the red. It means that Hats really needs to rely on his teammates staying alive for as long as possible, that he can do the heavy lifting, and it just doesn't quite pan out that way. Even with the bomb plant, there's not a crazy amount of money to work with. They are going to buy it up, but we're going to see, what, 3 AKs up for Sicko, Ali, and Inns, but Hats and Malta, they're just going to be on a deagle. And for MIBR, this comes down to a round where both teams have the opportunity of resetting one another's economy.
Yeah, and that's what it's all about right now. Sure, the equipment might not be as strong for Renegades, but certainly doable. Right now, they should be taking every chance they get. Of course, they did win their own map pick in overtime. Made Brazil almost had it done. And still had problems closing, similar as they did in their opening game. But right now, they just need the W here to force the third and final map in this series. All the decision to come down to Overpass if MIBR win here, which of course they have to do first. Seiko the first to drop, Malta in the second, Deagle the second to drop. And yeah, Renegades just bit by bit dropping like flies here.
Flashing towards Connector. Oh my goodness, they're swap places. They know that Yell's in the smoke, but it might still take aliStair a little while to get him, and SAZ somehow is able to deal with him without his teammate falling. It all just comes down to Hats to try and see if he can win a 1 versus 5, but for MIBR, that's going to be the reset. That's going to be Renegades forced down to absolutely no money, especially if they don't get a bomb plant, which looks highly unlikely at this point. Hats picking out from ramp, can't even find anything. What a fantastic round for MIBR.
In the fact that both Cello and SHZ also still just staying alive, 5 players staying alive on the CT side, I don't actually think that Renegades managed to do that too much when it comes down to it. So, I mean, that's certainly a difficulty there. What do you do consider how things continue? Of course, Renegades now are going to be hard reset. Theoretically, can work with this loss bonus to get a buy in that next, which they are going to do. Which still, MIBR will probably be on to 11. And let's just see how far they can take it. Hats actually the team kill coming out. Seiko somehow finding 1 on the Glock. The likelihood of getting any more is low, and the round is done from there on out.
MIBR getting into very similar territory of where we've seen them in both the best of 1 and the opening map of Vertigo. Of being able to get in towards the double digits marker and be able to start pushing a bit of a lead in towards the later stages or the early stages of the 20s. Another tactical coming through for Renegades, and, well, they've got enough money to get a buy together, but you've got to wonder to yourself, there's going to be no AWP. Inns, if he wants util, is going to have to go down to a Galil. Or maybe just some body Kevlar without head Kevlar. Renegades, they're running out of room and running out of rounds. And for aliStair, it does seem that if the AWP is not in his hands, he's not quite finding that same sort of level of impact. Whereas over on the other side, it seems like SHZ and Exit, these last few rounds have started to really come alive.
Yeah, I think it comes down to the fact as well that not only might not be having as much impact with the rifle, but also some of the confidence is missing. The shots that he was going for in the op was just absolutely out of this world, and literally to then like calm down and be a little bit further laid back, and usually then it is single actions like Malta trying to go in and find that first opener, but as soon as he drops, there's nobody there to try and trade for him.
Just trying to see if they can get a little bit lucky with the spam in from the end of the app smoke, and well, Bolts is in there towards that quarter position, but that's information they don't know about as of yet. Resmoke goes down just to buy a little bit more safety. MIBR not even having a mid player at this point. Top con smoke coming through for the T's, being able to just kind of keep forcing the CTs further and further back.
The thing is, right now, I think the confidence has certainly jumped back for MIBR now that they do have the lead. This back and forth game, I'd expect fueled them a little bit more in comparison if Renegades would have just had a tremendous start with them just running away with the lead. then all of a sudden, that could have broken the Brazilian side even further. Right now, though, this game right here is just neck and neck. Anything can happen. And a full 3 mapper could still be coming down. Yell finding that headshot. With that aliStair being taken out, that's one rifle already gone. As now, Bolts knows exactly what's coming, and he's set and ready for it as well. Does find one, doesn't find the second, but yet again, they have to get towards the site. They have to get that bomb down first. Right now, though, Cello, if he gets caught, which he does, Inns finds Yell as well. And this round just didn't seem possible, but it all turns back for Renegades.
Yeah, that's an unbelievable mid-round, and honestly, from the start there, MIBR had some pretty good defenses. They had the numbers game in their favor, some decent trades out. Obviously, that Mac-10 just running through the apps, diving down onto the window, dealing with the site anchor, and then Bolts falling too to Sicko. But just Hats being able to do so much work as that lurk towards Topicon, catch off the first player, and for Cello, as soon as he only gets that leg and he doesn't find the full connection, he's instantly punished. This is a bit quicker for aliStair with the AWP.
Yeah, and we've talked about this confidence for him on the AWP as well. Just try and go out, trying to be aggressive. Right now, just holding on, making sure, okay, there's nobody towards Van. Nobody's peeked out there, but Bolts was boosted up into that prime position to take him out. Yet again, aliStair first to drop. Can they respond as Malta now gets mollied out? And yet again, losing 2 players within the first 30 seconds is not the way to go.
Nah, not at all. That's maybe a little bit too confident there for aliStair, just pushing right out the apartments, really just desperate for an opening man advantage. And Malta looks for the trade back, looks to somehow try and even it up, and instead just gets caught in a bit of a firefight while standing in an incendiary. Even Inns and Sicko towards this bottom of Con. Can they catch off Yell? Going to be a little bit of a difficult angle over the top of the smoke. The AWP has been seen, but not quite dealt as yet. Yell still staying alive, doing so much damage.
Just the way that this has been turning out for them. Sicko and Hats still trying to hold on for dear life. Jumping towards window, of course. MIBR, they will be well aware of this. Event still being closed. It has so many options as well. Does Exit need to hold on to that is the bigger question as they move in towards jungle. You have no idea right now where anybody's at. And surely the steps now have been registered by MIBR as well. SHZ finds one, finds both. And MIBR continue on this leading run. And sure, they're able to find 1 round from Renegades. But it's only 1 round, it's the story. Same and same again, as we saw early on Vertigo as well, where yes, they find a round, but then they lose the follow-up. And time like that, again, not able to string rounds together.
It's almost...
That could be their downfall.
Yeah, it's almost a mirror image, isn't it? I think we had an exact 13-10 scoreline out on map 1, and we're just looking at this eco, you can pretty much assume that it's going to be a 13-10 lead up for MIBR. Really not a lot of investment to follow. Couple of upgraded Deagles here or there, but there's no Kevlar at all, so it's a light eco.
Yeah, again, they were then down to a 15-11. MIBR bring things through, and then all of a sudden Renegades started just to come back into the game and brought things to OT, able to close things out. But I'd much rather see them do their best here regular time rather than having that far stretch to try and bring things back. MIBR thus far here on the day have had problems closing games, but you shouldn't be relying on that if you're Renegades.
aliStair is just trying to hope that Yell just continues peeking and continues getting overly aggressive up against the Deagle. MIBR, though, haven't really been tagged up too heavy as of yet. Decent resmoke out to ramp is at least going to slow Inns down, but for Renegades, they're hoping for anything in a round like this.
Yeah, and right now just nothing has happened, and maybe even the CTs just won't even be there to try and kill them at the end. The way that they've been avoiding each other seems to at least be going that way. Malta is now close to death. Hats might get a closer experience as well. aliStair, though, finds, as we said, is this now an opener to try and get a bomb plant towards the bomb site? Surely is, and that's an AWP recovered for aliStair as well. Bomb plant comes through. Where are the CTs coming from? And of course, Bolts finds a double from CT. Still a bomb plant, 2 kills. Is more than we expected going into it, and Malta might still be able to find another, which of course brings the CTs to their knees when it comes down to money as well, because they would then have to reinvest.
Jeez, that looked really workable for a moment there. And for Renegades, they might be slightly disappointed with that one. Having a 4 versus 3 post plant, they're in a very good position. And well, the AWP is just a little bit tunnel vision, just double scoped in towards the bottom of connector, just waiting for the quick rotate. But it's out towards CT spawn where they don't really anticipate the fight. But again, in hindsight, looking at where the economy was and what they actually brought to the table in that round, 3 kills and a bomb plant, that's more than expected.
And that's the point right now, it's 13-10, so ideally they would win a round right here and right now. Just the bigger question, can they actually get that far? MIBR win this, then of course, yes, there is going to be loss bonus for Renegades to work with, but is that going to be to a point where you can then actually buy? You need at least the bomb plant here, and the bomb, yet again, being left behind. They've been doing that a couple of times as well. I mean, look back to that B bomb site earlier. The bomb came in super late, and everybody tried to push in towards deep market instead of actually holding back a little bit further. Cello to find Malta, and Hat's at least able to bring things level.
Just trying to work a default. Hat's actually being able to come away with a couple of kills. This could just be the opening sort of that Renegades really need. And we're starting to see a bit of a shift away out from the B side. It's all going to left on Cello for the AWP to try and defend B alone. And it seems like for Renegades, they're regrouping and they're looking to go out towards the apartments into B.
Yeah, and surely if they all work together, if they all punch up and bring all 4 players out at the same time, then that might be their saving grace. Right now, the SHZ, how far does he go? How much information can he actually collect from that? And how long will it take for Exit to then rotate back over towards the B-bombs? It's a long run for him right now, but when does he actually start it? Cello now out. Very defensive position from him, and of course just buying time, finding the no-scope as well. However, Hat straight on the trade, and they need to get that bomb plant, and they need to get it now, and MIBR maybe even need to save in this one, as they seem to be doing already. Renegades have a shot.
It's looking so similar. It really, really is. And you can even just see the protocols there in that 3-on-2. They're anticipating a bit of a quick rotate in, quick rotations for MIBR, but doesn't quite come through. They get that bomb down comfortably. Hats, though, I want to say probably one of the biggest rounds of the entire best of 3 that he's had. Hasn't been a guy that we haven't spoken about in a massive detail, but knowing the way that this sort of really hurts the money line for MIBR, it sort of ends the streak, it gets Renegades up to 11, and he finds 3 kills all by himself. That's a huge round.
And that's the thing right now that, of course, for MIBR, we've talked about the money being so volatile here as well. With the 2-man save at least, Exit, he can drop for one of his teammates, and then they have pretty much everything they need. And that's the thing right now. Cello gets the op. He can buy up all the utility that he wants. Sure, only a smoke and a flash, but at the same time, he didn't really have too much more money. And I like the fact that MIBR, not only do they take most of the time of the freeze time, but then also call a tactical timeout. They want to speak, and they need to do it right now. As I mean, something has to change. At the same time, Renegades can take this as well.
This is getting down to the wire. 13-11. And pressure's got to be on for both these teams. Again, lower bracket round 1 game, best of 3. Whoever loses this is going home. And you want to say it's a long flight back home. I know that they'll still be in Europe for a little bit longer than that. But to come all this way, do all the quarantining, all of the process, and then come out without even getting a victory, it's a tough ask, isn't it?
Yeah, but at least you hope for them to be back, because surely they have chances, but right now they're not out just yet. They're still hanging on. An exit risky there, but it's information. There's players in towards mid. We'll have to see, as right now the T's are still giving the CT space to breathe, and yet again the big focus in towards mid. Well, they have been consistent in finding a kill, maybe even 2 at times.
But even Inns is really, really deep in T spawn. Maybe expecting that MIBR are going to make a bit of an info play, go for something slightly aggressive out towards Ramp or Palace, and just try and see if they get a bit of a backstab going. Hats, though, getting in towards the top of Connector relatively easily.
Yeah, nobody really contending this right now. SHZ now to check back. Yet again, he has 2 angles to watch. Nobody else can support him, as, of course, Yell is very deep towards Ramp. Hasn't quite pushed through. But SHZ always has to switch things up, and how is the timing going to be set here for Hat? Molotov coming through. He seems to be aware of a player's possible position in towards ladder room. Flashbang now to follow in. Exit isn't going to be flashed. Actually, a smoke. And still, now the push over towards B, and guess what? Hat, he can be in behind. He can be right in there just to kind of stop them from rotating properly. Are they aware of his position? They're trying to fall back. They're trying to hold on to their weapons, but Hat finds that headshot. aliStair as well. It's all going to be down to Yell. Money is gone on the CT side. Holding on to those 3 weapons is all they had going for them.
Wow, what an incredible round.
And I mean,
again.
surely this is level now.
Yeah, it really is. And for Renegades, these lurk plays are finding a lot of impact. That time around, the impact was just catching the saver, wasn't it? Like, that round was already over. He was falling back towards CT. There was no way that MIBR were going to be going for that. But even just how quickly some of those entries came through. Sicko, a couple of kills up for the short position. aliStair assisting with one himself. And then Hat's just slowing down as much as what the CTs can bring forward. And you're right with the money. 1,900 loss bonus there, 2,400 in the next round. It's got to be a light eco. You've got the M4, but for Renegades, this is a perfect opportunity to go 13-13 now.
Yeah, the big question is still here. I mean, MIBR, it wouldn't be out of character to just even force further down. They at least keep the money in the bank, which is definitely the right call to make, because we've seen it a couple of times with Brazilian teams just force for no apparent reason and then just throw it away as easily as that. But of course, they're well aware of the stakes right now. Yell already down to 19. The M4 needs to be their biggest focus, and even the Deagles here certainly in with a chance, but Malta to find bolts.
Ooh, Yell. I kind of like this. So, depending if the attention can be drawn from Cello out for Van, he might be able to catch off Malta. Oh, if that bomb comes from TV, he could get more out of this.
Yeah, all depending on how much discipline comes through from his side. Hasn't spotted Malta out just yet, but he knows how valuable this position can be. So just holding on here for the moment. All about timing. 2, 3 players. But Inns checks the corner finally. And in the end, the rifle is gone. And Cello, the one thing that he did do is not pull the attention as you said.
Oh.
And you have to feel for him as well, as that was his prime opportunity to maybe even win the round there.
Yeah, you could just picture it. Just like Snacks back in the day. There were 2 easy kills there. Wanted a little bit more. And Inns are just... Imagine being him in that sort of position.
Yeah.
You've got 2 teammates that have already passed, but you're just going to double check. Just in case there's a little bit of a sneak. SHZ will at least get away with one. Not quite that second onto Malta, but that one check, that turned the round into a very good one that could have been a very dicey one.
I would have loved to see that reaction from the Australians in that situation. Australia on voice. Mate, didn't you check the corner? Like, come on, guys. Elemental parts of CS. Check that corner, because we didn't have any control in towards mid. But still, I mean, they got away lucky with that one. And Inns might have been the silent hero.
Well, they are going to boost Extra quite quickly up towards ladder, but again, Renegades, they're finding a lot of success with this mid default. They're getting a lot of opening picks from it too.
Just keeping the bomb at T-spawn as well, I think is the part that's maybe a little bit more comical there as well. Don't just go for free fire towards the smoke. Yell to actually find that kill. Now you can go for the kill if you want, Hats, and he does find it at least. Now into top connector, 4-on-4, and an argument to be made that the T's should probably come out on top of it. Like, oh, and as I said, actually being caught out, but still somehow finds a headshot.
That's a big whiff from Malta there. aliStair, keeping his eyes locked, but there's that player out from Sandwich. They haven't quite seen him as of yet. aliStair just focused in. Hat's getting that kill. Now they know the CT player's there! And the AWP hits the shot. A massive crack angle to come through from Ali. A chance now to try and get the bomb. Exit just getting naded right down out towards his jungle position. And the bomb can go down. Yeah, it's a risk,
no
isn't it?
No surprise with the timeout.
Yeah, they're thinking about it. Like, Exit can drop a Fama, Bolts could drop a Fama too, and then maybe SHZ by himself, but how high do you want to run the risk? And even with that smoke, I mean, people would say, "Oh, that's an EU smoke, mate. That's an OCE smoke." That just the timing. It's one that you don't see every day out from sort of the bench position. Take that attention away from CT. aliStair hitting an unbelievable shot there out towards the CT player. Yell is buying down low. They've got 3,400 loss bonus, so a lot of money to fall back on.
And this is the most amount of rounds that Renegades have actually gotten since their 4-round run, well, into OT, which they ended up making 7 in a row. And let's be honest, if they turn this from 4 into 6 in a row, this is their W. And right now, MIBR, of course, well, dropping down to that 2k mark, a little bit less on Yell, but he can buy in that next round, no problem. Still a lot riding them for them to be able to push it towards OT. And then Renegades have the pressure on to try and close things out. And Dweg, you might be able to tell best, how are they when it comes down to the high pressure situation of closing a game against the Brazilians?
Yeah, they're normally pretty decent. Whenever you see them up against top competition, they don't normally get flustered under pressure. But again, it's so difficult to tell because it's been so long since we've seen them at this kind of an event, this kind of LAN as well. Things may have changed. Renegades, though, just the entire series, overall at portions, they've been on the back foot. They've never really been the ones that have had a massive lead, and now just grinding these rounds back and even looking to make a decent read here. You've got one player out towards a B site, and that's only a Deagle. It's not the M4s.
Yeah, smoke's coming out, and Yell right here could be making one of his biggest plays depending on how this one goes. Of course, does now have the support of Bolt. An M4 there set and ready. And it does take a little bit longer. Hat in the meantime has found exit, of course, and Yell on that Deagle finds one but drops. All down to Bolt, who drops to Malta. And now the M4s are gone, and Renegades keeping 4 players alive. They have so much money as well until the end of this map. And SHZ on a Deagle. And at the same time, you get your loss bonus anyways. There's no reason to feed them even more, to get even more confidence. And Made in Brazil can certainly use this as a little bit of a tactics call as well.
Malta trying to clear out last player, getting a 3k into the round. Renegades up to 15. Map at series point to continue their run in the lower bracket, to play the best of 3, to continue on to try and see if they can make it into the group stage. MIBR, though, they're fighting for survival here. 2 more rounds in a row to try and bring it into OT. 1 kit and play up for Exit, AWP down for Cello, and you've just got to keep your eye on where that kit is. Keep an eye on where Exit's playing from.
So, quick smoke here from the Australians out towards the A-bomb site. That lands deep towards jungle, and they have a stair smoke set and ready as well. It might be the biggest fake, but Cello, of course, finding Hats. And that was always the information play to go in towards mid and try and load the bases there. However, aliStair down to 51. How strong he can be on the op. Can he find this first entry towards the site proper and then bring it back to a 4-4? Has seen the player, not quite able to react quick enough. follow-up nade and just about makes out alive as well.
A really important duel for Cello to start this round off. Get that mid play up and just work the 5-on-4. There is a player up towards top mid that has not been seen as of yet. That's Malta trying to push forward. The NWP is going to scope in. Another great shot from Cello.
Of course, MIBR, they need one more round after this one to actually push it on towards an OT. Zed's position is going to be known. The flames actually drop down towards Underwood. He's now taking more damage. Follow-up nade as well. How is he even still alive? But Yell finds aliStair. And still another Molotov comes in. SHZ finally being taken out by Seco. But it's all down to Seco. He needs an ace here if he wants to finish it in round 29. Otherwise, we move on to the final map of regulation. Overtime already secured. And another series point for Renegade.
Jeez, this is such a close series. It really has come down to the wire on both map 1 and map 2. 19-15 was the scoreline on Vertigo in which the Australians took it over. Can they close, or are we going to go to another OT? MIBR, it's the first round that they've won in a little while.
It's been 5 rounds in a row for Renegade, and right now already, yet again, smoking towards window. And nicely done there. Cello now going for a big play in towards the apartments. And Malta just holding back, not pushing in. Of course, here's scope. Flash was ineffective, but at least forced Cello off the angle for a good second. Malta not going for a peek, connected to it though.
It's going to be difficult to bait this AWPer because they're going to have to get some more util forward, try and force him to just take a shot and then Malta to wide swing. But even with that, they kind of want to pull the distraction. Hats has been great in this top cold position, just lurking out, doing consistent damage. Yell's on the other side of this smoke.
Does he move towards stairs? Yes, he does. So of course Yell grabs that kill without any events happening. Another flashbang Cello, this time being caught. And he would have been caught in the window as well, so that would have been a prime chance for Malta to try and take him out. Molotov is going to be stopping here, but Malta now wants to make a move. Support from short available as well. Just taking a little bit too long, to be honest, here as well.
They're split into B. All just comes down to the opening contact, the opening duel. Ali with the orb is going to hit the shot onto Cello. The M4 towards the back of the site is still alive and kicking, looking to continue doing damage. aliStair, what more can he find? He does get swung on. Bolt's now doing damage. The bomb getting dropped. Inns and Malta, it's all down to them.
Yeah, and right now, ball, of course, being recovered, not the main priority, but Malta is hitting shots. It's all going to be down to SHZ as Malta finds a 3K and brings Renegade through into the next game. And I mean, I just have to sit down for that one first. What did we just witness? How do they win it?
Bro, that last round, the shot from Ali to come onto the site and then in.